Hi, everyone. My name is Hayley. I'm really excited to share the future of social travel via our platform to share accommodation for vacations, events, and experiences. Anyone who has traveled, and I've traveled the world to all the continents, often solo, knows that accommodation is really expensive and that I want to meet other people like me and have fun to enhance my travels. And I wanted to organize it as easily as possible. And in fact, there's 40 million digital nomads today, and a growing segment that is, of people who are looking for exactly the same solution. However, because of all of these challenges, they're often trying to find share accommodation with other people on like platforms like Facebook and WhatsApp, and there's no real actual way to go and discover other people to travel with, and specifically to have the real need of sharing accommodation. So I came up with a solution. And part of this came from me hosting personally 200 people in my ski houses in Lake Tahoe over the winters over the last 8 years for a platform called Bubble, which allows people to stay together and share together. What it is a travel booking site that facilitates the sharing of accommodation by rooms or beds for any group for oriented experience, and do so in a safe and trusted environment. Also, at the same time, I'm creating a community of positively rated bubblers who will unlock their passport to be able to do infinite possibilities for social travel, whether that be leisure, business, or whether that be for events or whatever. Equally, people who organize these trips have to use, and I know this because I did it myself, lots of disconnected tools. They own, unfortunately, more of the liability. And so we've established a platform that solves these problems for the organizers, and in turn will enhance more organizers to organize these trips, as well as providing an incentive for organizers to actually make money or subsidize their own trip. So how would it work? Travelers can find a room in a bed or a bed in share accommodation with like-minded others. So a traveler is wanting to connect with others and optimize their budget. They go on Bubble, they search the listings, and they can be invited by the host once they apply to book a room or bed for this event. They join the trip, enjoy, make new friends, meet and rate others. Most importantly, they get great value, have a great time, and foster new relationships. So who bubbles? When I surveyed 200 people while I was incubating Bubble, while I was working at Uber, I came up with a better question: who doesn't bubble? Actually, when you look at it, given that 80% of Airbnbs involve more than one traveler, I can guarantee you that most people in the world will bubble. The challenge is how do they find the people to bubble with, and how do they manage the trips? We actually have two choices. You'll be able to list private bubbles or public bubbles, depending on whether you want to just have a private group and use the tools for the utility of it, or whether you want to actually find like-minded others. As you can see here, there's an example, but we actually believe that there'll be a whole new creator community. Creators today who are creating experiences and running communities online will actually be able to use Bubble to facilitate in-person immersive experiences. So when we looked at the market sizing, we took just one sample, which is global nomads. And what we saw that the market for just global nomads, because people are actually replacing their living with, travel, is very enormous. And if we just had one small element of those staying for 11% of their annual nights, we'd have a service addressable market of over $1 billion. How does Bubble fit into the rest of the community? So when I was looking at Bubble intently, I divided it into 3 sections because I mapped the customer journey of my ski leases from end to end, from the discovery side, the organization side, and the social side. And what I found was that there are a lot of companies up here that allow you to find and experience a co-living or a travel environment, and you can do it in groups. You can do it, but they're popping up here and there, and same with Airbnb. On the organization side, the market is established. There are a lot of different apps that help people organize things, and the one that I point out is Batch, because they're helping organize bachelor parties in travel. They usually have like a freemium business model. And then up here on the left-hand side, this is where the gap was, in my opinion. I was looking at them and going, well, how do I know if the people I'm traveling with are the sort of people I'd want to hang out with? I know this because I had them all come through my ski houses. If I had have had a Bubble score, I could have, people flying to my house, I would have definitely known if they were the sort of people I wanted in my house or not. So what we're doing is creating this overlay with a user profile, with a rating system, with a way for you to actually see if they're the kind of person you bubble with. And in fact, your user profile will show all the bubbles you've done. And in fact, just looking at that, I'll be able to know if you're the sort of person for me. You are kind of the result of all of your bubbles. The business model is, in this first place, because the travelers are willing to pay for convenience, and I've proven that in the last 4 bubbles I've run, that we charge a marketplace fee to travelers to start with that's embedded in the nightly rates. They're already getting an economical proposition. So we feel that that's the best place, because the hosts are the ones putting the effort. So the hosts need to be kind of like rewarded, so to speak. Our business model also enables hosts to actually make a profit if they choose to. The path to 100 million in annual revenue, when we looked at digital nomads again, and I only pointed to this group because they've got so many unmet needs here, less than 1%, if we had less than 1% of US nomads book one trip, then we would be on the path to 100 million in revenue. How are we going to build our growth? So I have an expertise in partnerships. So I'm going to be organizing a lot of Super Bubble partnerships. I've already had interest from a major ski resort in North America, and from a partner who actually runs side events and runs bubbles all the time. And that's one that I'm pursuing. We're going to build our host user base. They are our influencers. They bring us customers. We're going to launch in beachhead markets like digital nomads and events where we can beat cold start and get network effects. People going to Coachella need accommodation and they want to match with other people going to Coachella.
Going to stop you. 6 minutes.
Okay.
That was actually really good. I want to commend you for
Totally
that.
screwed it off.
First of all, Hayley, great job. I mean, I know you're excited and maybe we're a little bit nervous because you will feel nervous again. It's not a big deal. But I think you did a really good job. I actually think your opener was quite strong. There's certain things that stood out to me that I know will stand out to investors, and they always get excited about clarity of your vision of the opportunity and clarity of why you're the credible person that's going to, make this a rocket ship. And you actually, I don't know if you did this on purpose, but you had a lot of credibility statements that you injected throughout. Like, for example, well, the fact that you worked at Uber, honestly, you said it as a slight aside, but it's like, okay, this person knows what they're doing. The fact that you already had bubbles that you had success with, right? Like through your sort of pilot, your proof of concept, again, that shows me success. The fact that you showed how you're going to scale through partnerships, and the fact that you're able to already prove that you've done that through these ski resorts, through these different folks that are going to be influencers. All those things are positive, and I think you already did a good job. You can refine that even further for when you choose to drop those nuggets of credibility and prove that there's a big opportunity here and you are the person to make this a reality. Here's some feedback. Don't squash this, because the fact that you're excited shows that like you should be building this. And actually a lot of founders look for that, like the passion and excitement, it has to be there. I think that's great. Continue that. But what I would adjust is slowing way down. Right. And every time I talk to you, you talk fast. You're a fast talker. So am I.
I know it sucks.
It doesn't suck. I mean, it also shows
I have an accent. I realize my accent doesn't help.
You have an accent. People have accents.
But you know what I mean? If I talk fast, it's harder to understand because of the accent.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, your accent is nice.
Thank you. No, but I need to be. But that's something I have to consciously think about. So yeah,
we have to consciously think about, and it's actually really awkward to ourselves when we purposely slow down, because we are used to hearing, like, I'm actually talking slower right now than how I normally speak. But when you talk slower, you can think about what you're going to say. You come off as more confident, right? So just practice that. That's all. That's my main thing, right?
Thank you.
I'll kind of pause with that, because you did a great job. But it'll just help you manifest more confidence in these conversations, and that does mean you'll have to feel slower than it's naturally comfortable for you. But remember, these people don't know you, so
yeah,
they don't know how.
I'm actually, my first 20 are definitely going to be people that know me. So yeah.
You can slow down, and it's going to help you as you refine. Good job.
And full disclosure, I know Hayley. I have been a bubbler with Hayley in a ski lease up in Tahoe. That's where we actually first met. But what I'll say is, and look, I'm really excited about this idea that she has. And I think what I would say is, look, I think it looks great. It sounds great. As Vadim said, you got the credibility. Slow it down. That. But also, I think, less is more. I think that's always one of our problems as founders is, I want to write the Dead Sea Scrolls on a deck, right? It's like what we all know is that, reality is when you're pitching it, you can have just a few words on a page and the investors want to hear what you're saying. They want to hear how you're delivering it. They want to get the understanding of it. And what I would also say, what I felt was missing in it to me was when you talk about who bubbles, right? And you and I have had this conversation as well. I just think you need to figure out who's my audience and how do I bring them into this conversation, right? Because you need to sell them on being like, oh, I would do that, just like you did with me, right? Like, oh, I'm a great bubbler because I want to be a digital nomad. I want to be in all these places. I want to go to all these events. So I think that it's just more of, kind of, again, not dumbing it down, but just less words. I think a great way also is record yourself doing the pitch.
Yeah, great idea.
Just so you can get your own unbiased feedback of yourself in your own space. Listen to it, look at it, and you'll think, oh, I didn't like this, and you'll make a change. I like that. You can keep going with it. So I think that, look, I love the idea. I think you're really honing it and fine tuning it. And like anything, you just got to get there and pitch it. And I think, again, the more people you talk to about it, the more people you have conversations with, the more it will be clarified and what people like, don't like, and understand.
Can I quickly ask Greg on that question? Like, would it be at the travel site? Have you ever been on a group trip, or have you ever wanted to travel and you didn't have anyone to travel with? Maybe I should be saying.
Make people understand it. Like, I've done that.
Maybe that's the way I should say that.
Right.
Do you remember back when you were single and you were ever trying to look for a trip? But the problem is, I don't want to just target single people, because couples. I've got 4 couples.
No, or you had a family and you were trying to get 4 couples together to go on this great vacation, or. Again, know your audience.
So maybe if I can know them, if I know they're a family person or not, maybe I can.
Or give 2 examples, single and family.
That's great example.
It brings it together.
I was actually very impressed. I had not seen your full thing. Very thoughtful. I know you know your stuff, and I just want to reiterate that. And this is something for everybody else pitching as you refine. weave in your stories. I agree what Vadim said. When you said, I've experienced this with 200 people traveling at my ski lodge, I was like, that resonated with me. And so if you tell your story up front, you know, I encountered this problem by hosting 200 people. And as I talk to them, this is what I learned. So share how much of a domain expert you are and your story. You did a fantastic job.
Because I was worried about the 6 minutes because I've normally done 12-minute pitches.
You definitely loosened up. As soon as you started getting into the narrative and the story, you became so much more natural. And I appreciate that. Now, let me give a pro tip for everybody else. All of you out there, when you are looking at your pitch deck and you're presenting, okay? Use the same format. Now, there are advanced techniques to adjust your pitch deck for a live presentation. Don't worry about that just yet. Take your entire pitch deck and only keep the headlines and the subheadlines and the graphics and take all the other words out. That's a great way for you not to lose people trying to read your deck, but you to maintain the familiarity of your deck. So Hayley, you had a lot of, sections with a little subhead and then a paragraph of text. Just delete that paragraph of text and talk through it. All right. Much more powerful. It's a great way to transition eventually to the point where you only need like one picture and one stat, like 54% and a couple words under it. And that pitch will be so powerful. But that's an advanced technique. In the meantime, try and adjust your slides that way. Your story, PATA ARR, needs to be just that, a story. So instead of a real top-down, you tell the story of a bottom-up. We did some calculations and we realized that there are this many travelers and these are the ones that go to ski lodges. And we're going to focus here. And we saw that we could actually accommodate 50 million users in that, which would get us to 100 million users. So share the story, because the entire thing, I don't know about Greg and Vadim, but when I hear, the market's this big, and if we capture 1% of that, we're all going to be billionaires, I just tune out because I'm like, that's just not an analysis. Greg, what do you think?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it doesn't work that way, right? I mean, it's bumpy, it's hard. You're obviously just trying to make, forward progress every day.